This meeting is being recorded.
If you guys are looking for the questions, I put them in the email. That's like I think the easiest way to find them. I'm looking right now. Oh, you got them? Okay.
Let's see. I'll get there. Hi.
How are you?
Well, hanging in there. It's good to see you all. How is spring coming along?
It's busy.
So you're getting through the end, towards the end of the year now, right? That's exciting. That's good for you guys. So let's go with it.
I'm trying to find our email. I don't know why it's like,
Yeah, you sent me some questions, right?
yes.
They're slightly overwhelming, by the way. It's like, what? You're forcing me to think. Hmm.
Oh, right here. Okay. Yeah, so this interview is typically like uh kind of like our wrap up for like your life after SMC. And then there could potentially be one other oral history. Just like to note that if we end up like we're going to be going through your transcript, and then if there's anything else like that we feel like we didn't ask you or we would like to ask you, there might be one more meeting. But this one is focused basically like on how St. Mary's impacted you and your professional life after St. Mary's. So just going off of that, how do you feel that St. Mary's shaped your future trajectory in life? And that could be personal, but also professional.
Impacted me. There's no question about that in my mind. I came in, I would say, very naive, very unaware of how things functioned in our world. Definitely not informed very much at all about any history related to like my own background, Latin America, Latin foundations. The history of Mexican people of Mexican origin in this area of the country. Um, when it came to the issues of other peoples that were downtrodden, oppressed, um, I came in very naive as well, or maybe not naive is the right word, maybe it's uninformed. I didn't have the knowledge that St. Mary's gave me, which included the knowledge of what happened to African American or people of African descent in our country, the extent to which our history was premised so much on colonization, the taking over of lands, and that's not just true just for our country. I mean, it's a process that occurred throughout the world. And but like I say, when I came in, I was very uninformed, naive about how things worked. St. Mary's gave me some very, very strong foundations. I feel in understanding how our world was. I'd have to say that let's see, how did it impact me? Was that the question ultimately? Yeah. I mean, well, obviously I became more knowledgeable about history. It was my minor. My minor was Latin American history, but I took other history courses as well, so it wasn't just Latin America. And then because my major was government, I learned a lot about our country and how its system worked. Our system of democracy, the fact that we have three branches of government that are intended to balance each other out, and then even why certain protections are in the Constitution. I mean, the Second Amendment, people are always talking about that. But bottom line with it is it's there because the colonists wanted to be able to defend themselves against the British soldiers. So the right to bear arms came from that. Freedom of religion in our Constitution. St. Mary's helped me to understand that so much of that part of our Constitution came from the fact that people left Europe because they were being oppressed by religion. It wasn't just the pilgrims. I mean, a lot of the people that fled Spain actually had Jewish origins or Moorish origins, people that the Spanish Inquisition had gone after and wanted to escape. Um, I learned so much about also even the way governments operated in Europe at that time that led a lot of people to come and be motivated to come to this country. So, for example, a big one was land. The kings, the lords, they're the ones that own the land. The regular people, the quote peasants, did not even have the right to own land. And so the ability to progress out of whatever you were born in society was absent for the most part. And so it was a huge motivator for having people wanting to come to the quote, the New World. Like I said, St. Mary's gave me the a much broader understanding of all of that. Um, I I also within here, let me shut this door, okay? Sorry, that's a loud husband and a loud grandchild. Um, so that was just like some of the general knowledge that I learned from my government experience or government major knowledge. Um, then from the early, I think one of your early questions was how did Chicano studies compare to current Chicano studies? Well, it was in the early stages. It wasn't this, what I'm assuming now is a much more comprehensive, sophisticated coursework. But it was information that was very impactful. So, for example, one of the things that we studied was a book by Rudy Acuna, who just passed away in the last couple of months. He wrote a book called Occupied America, and it was all about colonization and its impact on people of indigenous and Latin descent, especially in the Southwest. That was huge for me. It's like, oh, that. And what went along with that was learning about the history of immigration in this country, and in particular how it impacted people from Mexican descent. And I apologize if so much of the focus is on that, but it's true. I mean, when it came to advocacy, where I started was okay, the people that were closest to me, and what I had seen before coming to St. Mary's, the people that were braceros, the farm workers, people who, even in my own family, people who had left Mexico to come and try to find a better life, so learning more about the history of people from Mexican heritage, but then because of my minor in Latin American history, getting a much broader sense on an area that I think is very relevant today, and that is the formation of dictatorships and how they are formed, but then how they maintain where they are and the kinds of methodologies utilized. And I'm sorry to say it, but I see a lot of similar methodologies going on right now in our own country. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's what I see. Um, so, like I say, it made it, I became much clearer on how I thought. I definitely became, I guess, an advocate. I became also very active. St. Mary's allowed me the connections that I made in the communities in the area, like in Oakland, San Francisco, Berkeley, Richmond, organizations that did some great cultural stuff, um, uh, events. There was a place in Berkeley called La Peña, had a lot of musical things that happened there. Um, I found out culturally the music that I got introduced to was amazing. We've talked about before about a teacher, Inez Gomez. She was from Chile. So she introduced me to the music of a group called Inti Limani. And Inti Limani had indigenous type flute music. and they opposed I think it's Pinochet. They had to run from the country and go to, I think it was France, but they did tours. And so I had the opportunity to actually go to some of their concerts. All of that was very beautiful. And um, the none of that would have happened had I not gone to St. Mary's. And it would not have happened had I not met at St. Mary's professors who were informed about this history and about the community. From there, I ended up becoming a member of one organization that was all about advocacy for the conditions of undocumented workers. But even before then, well, very quickly, I became a big time supporter of the work of the United Farm Workers because I remember children were working in the fields. Why? Because the families had to survive and were paid by the bins, and the bins were huge. And it was like families had to work as a group. So I was aware about no water, no toilets, no that kind of stuff. The short hose that broke people's spines. Um, so by the time I graduated from St. Mary's, I was very much also, well, an advocate for really, I don't want to say just people of Mexican heritage. I was an advocate for people that had been traditionally oppressed, the downtrodden, the people who remember my Beatitudes, blessed are the poor. So it wasn't defined along necessarily color or race. It was by, people who needed my help. And I um, left St. Mary's with that orientation very much intact. And I do believe it stayed with me my entire career and life, and how I implemented it. You already know how I felt about women's reproductive rights, women's rights. Definitely, that you impact by being who you are. And I know that being a first generation Latina with a college education, with a law degree, with a law license, um, I know that just by being who I was impactful, and not necessarily that I did anything. So that's kind of there's so much. Like I said, your questions were overwhelming, but the impact of St. Mary's on me was huge. It changed me. I left the school a different person from when I came in. So.
I had a question going off of that too. In our class on Tuesday, I was talking with another group, and they have Carlos. I believe he was the same year as you. And he was talking about how he went to protest with you, but he could never tell his parents that he was going to protest. And he had to like kind of hide that part of himself because his parents thought that like you were at school not to cause trouble, just to go to school. I was wondering if like you had a similar experience.
I hate to say this, but Carlos was my first boyfriend. we, but I was a freshman, he was a senior. It was only going to go so far. A very good man, very good person, strong individual. He was a big part of what happened the year before I was there, as far as the student protests. But don't put that in the summary, okay? But one of the things that my father told me before I went to St. Mary's is don't get involved with the radicals. I didn't know what the heck he was talking about. I guess I ended up with the radicals because anybody that was active in fighting racial oppression and fighting, for women's rights or things like that was considered a radical. Well, I don't buy that. I don't buy labels like that. It's what are your values? And so, yeah, I guess I never was that clear with my own daddy about what I was involved with. So I don't know. De facto, maybe.
Lucy, Felix, I don't know if you guys also want to mention like Tom Brown and like how he came in. You guys can go ahead.
Yeah. So I know you briefly mentioned Tom Brown in the previous oral history, And so I had a question in regards to like the relationships and the lessons and experiences you took away from SMC, like which I know Tom Brown was one that really resonated with you. Could you can you just talk about like how that relationship between Tom Brown and yourself impacted you?
I mean, I saw Tom a couple months ago. We remain in contact. He is probably one of the most influential individuals that I've had, not just during the time that I was at St. Mary's, but afterwards. My admiration for Tom is unending. He so he was still fairly young at the time, but he had a high level position at the time. I can't quite remember his actual title. It was like Dean of Students, but with the focus on African American students. But he didn't stop there. He was there for all of us. And if you went to him, he was there for you, always encouraging, always helping. He did end up being my boss during one summer. It was after Inez Gomez. I don't know if she was actually terminated or if she just left the college, but that left the other half of that team untended. My first year it was Tom Brown and Harry Acosta. Harry was more targeting the students of Latin descent. Harry left after my freshman year, and then it was Inez. And then when she left, during the summer, Tom and I worked together. I worked for him, and I helped to do some of the things that Inez was doing. And he gives me more credit than I deserve for that time. But yeah, he was just incredible and continues to be incredible. When the things happened last year, he was the first one I contacted. Hey, Tom, what do you think? And so uh, back in the day, not only was he there to help you academically, he was there to help you just interacting and let's see, how could I be supportive of each other? So we had that one center that I mentioned before called the jail. Terrible name, by the way. But it was for fun, and he would be there with the students as well. I'm sure there's a lot more that he did that I wasn't aware of. But Tom is just always been there for the students at St. Mary's, and if you go to him, he'd be there for you. Now, after he left St. Mary's, he continued to be a consultant on issues related to affirmative action and how do institutions of higher education manage some programs and make them better. I think he's still in the picture in a lot of places. And then over the year, he was supportive of me. He would ask me to come and speak to the students. And one of my funniest adventures, which gets me into another issue about motherhood and professional life. I came to speak to students who were interested in going into law, and Tom asked me to come, and I did. But I brought my 3-year-old, 4-year-old with me, my little girl, and she. So I'm over there trying to be all professional, all encouraging, all this. She stands up behind me and she starts going, pow, 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 pow. I'm going, yes, you can be a lawyer, you can be a mother, I can do this. But that was one of the things that happened because of my interaction with Tom. So that's the quick on Tom and never-ending support and loyalty to him. The other half of that was later when Brother Chavez came in, because he came in, in 76, I think, after I helped him during that summer. I think he came in the following time frame there, and Brother Chavez brought in a whole different flair. I mean, he brought in a calming flair to his interaction with people. He brought people down, and it was a process to learn that things don't always have to be done antagonistically. There are different ways to make change happen. And I think that Brother Chavez had that influence on me. I at first really wondered about, how the meditation was impacting people. I can never get into that piece of things, but um, he was a very positive influence on students who came after me. More, during the time that I was still there, I just learned to respect him. I saw him as someone who was caring, and definitely appreciated over the years the things he did for the students. And he always remembered me, which I thought was amazing considering it was over a course of 20, 30, 40 years. Um, and so I'd say those two individuals were the ones that had the highest impact on me. But there was professors that did too. Um, there was, um, let's see, I remember one of the last times I was trying to remember the Latin American history professor. I think I subsequently sent you the name, his name. And there was another history professor that was really interesting as well. And then let me think for a second. The people I worked with in the admissions office were also very supportive because my focus was on recruiting um, uh, students of Hispanic background. They were actively working to try to diversify the school. And so I made a trip down to Los Angeles and went to several schools down in the East LA area specifically. And as a result of that, there were applications. I had the opportunity to review applications and make recommendations to the school, but I felt respected. And so that experience of working with the admissions office had a very positive impact on me. Um, I'd have to say that when I came out of it, what's interesting is when I went to law school, I ended up doing the same thing for the law school. I was working with the admissions process there similarly. It was, yes, there was a large focus on ethnic groups, but it was also people who had backgrounds of poverty. The Hastings, my school at the time, it's got a different name now. They use something like high potential program. It's not the same as this one, but something similar to that. And so I did it there. So again, people at St. Mary's influenced my capacity. I came out with a much stronger capacity than what I came in with.
Thank you for that.
And
Actually, that was really good, mate. Felix, you want to say something else?
really quickly, I just wanted to clarify, was the history professor, was it Ben Frankel that you were referring to?
He was an awesome teacher. Very, very good teacher. Yeah, I can't remember the name of the other teacher, but he was really cool too. His was a little broader in nature, but it was good. Mm. He was Caucasian, Caucasian professor. Ben Frankel, not sure what his background was. Maybe Jewish, I'm not sure. But they were all great. Yeah, then there was people that I met that were caring. Some of the Christian brothers were really caring individuals that I wouldn't say that I got to know people very extensively other than the one I worked with my first year in the library. But I could tell that you probably see a building called Brother Albert Hall. He was still around. He was a little small man walking around the campus, and you kind of couldn't help but feel his spirituality. And yeah, so there was a lot of good people that were supportive.
I'm just gonna like segue a little bit here, but you obviously like you speak really highly of like your morals and how like you want to fight for um essentially like the underdog, I'd like phrase it as just in my words. But
Yes.
did like can you think of any instances like going through St. Mary's and stuff where you felt pressured to like I don't know, put that on the back burner or just felt pressured to hide the fact that you wanted to fight for those people and yeah.
I don't think I did. In fact, I probably had some people who were mad at me. um, because, well, I guess in hindsight, I feel like I'm pretty articulate. And so at the time, one of the things I was still trying to learn is what are different approaches to helping others? It's not always being antagonistic. It's also being tactful. It's also taking the opportunity. Every moment is an opportunity to educate. And so I think I probably alienated certain folks. Um, but at the time, it's like, no, I'm going to do what I feel I can do and what I feel is important. I think subsequent to St. Mary's, it's a question of deciding, well, how are you going to do that? And so there's a lot of different ways to help the underdog. And yeah, did I ever falter on those? I don't think so. I think I stayed pretty true to those values. Um, I also, my husband, I married, also a lawyer. He is a civil rights attorney. He worked we got together when had a fellowship in Washington, D.C., and he was there. He worked for the United States Civil Rights Commission. And it turned out we both became very active in law school in an organization called, let's see, I think it was La Raza Legal Alliance. And it was an organization of people that were either lawyers, law students, or paralegals, people in the legal field that wanted to advocate for the underdog. And my husband was the national chair in the East Coast. That's where he was, and I was in the West Coast. And we ended up meeting at a conference, a national conference that was held in Santa Clara University, and that's how I met him. But we were completely compatible when it came to our values, and we're still together. And he's in the other room. But that really helped to also keep me in tune to what's happening in the world. We tell each other things. Oh, did you see this? Did you see that? And I think that if there was any modification, I have to say it came when it came to motherhood. Okay, with motherhood or parenthood, you have to take care of your children. And I had three children in my 30s. When I married my husband, he had a daughter, so I became a mom right away. She was 8 years old at the time. And when you have those personal, um, I say responsibilities, and it's not even, you don't really view it as a responsibility. You love your children. It's natural. And how do you figure out then how to do the professional work, the community activism, the advocacy, yet still take care of your children? Um, and I must admit, my husband took our son to a protest in San Diego area on immigration issues. And I have him with me as a little baby on a table as we're doing an immigration information forum. So, okay, did it modify? I have to say that you have to figure out how to balance the personal with the professional, with how you carry out those values. But the values are still my core values. I still care about the underdog. And it's not necessarily race-based. I mean, the stuff that's happening in the country by this president is just so bothersome to me because who's it impacting? First thing he does is say, no more DEI. Well, hello, DEI includes not just people of color, it includes people that are handicapped. It includes people that are old, the elderly. So immediately, first day, boom. Within shortly thereafter, Congress cut off the subsidies for people who are able to get health care coverage. There are now millions that are either paying more or not able to pay at all because of what he did. The way that he has targeted the Latino community, people of brown color specifically. Oof, hello. It's like, it doesn't feel good to be brown myself. I'm a lawyer. This person that worked for the state of California for over 25 years. And I feel like I have to take my birth certificate with me. That's absolutely ridiculous. Getting rid of birthright citizenship, again, ridiculous. Um, so the bottom line is, um, it's important to stay informed and stay committed to not give up. Um, I don't know. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, that answers it actually really well. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. After a while, it's like, what was the question?
No, it was good. Thank you very much.
Another question we had was, do you feel that St. Mary's prepared you for your life, like outside of St. Mary's, like that little bubble?
Mhm.
And also, like, was there anything that you wish it had done a better job of doing? Um, yeah.
Hmm. Well, gosh. No, well, like I said, I came in very different from what I came out. I came in, I needed to learn how to write better. I learned how to become an advocate. I think I got some really good introduction to histories that I didn't know before. Um, I feel like the strongest skills necessary for a legal career were verbal advocacy, um, writing, reading. I feel like I came out with all of that. And so definitely it prepared me. It gave me confidence. I had more knowledge than when I came in. Um, there was, yeah, the confidence that I went into law school was reaffirmed. At the time, I didn't realize it. You go into law school and you're all, can I do this? And it's like all of a sudden you start questioning yourself and this and that. So the transition into law school for me was a little bit touch and go there. But I figured it out and had a lot of support also. Um, so yeah, it definitely helped to prepare me. But also created lifelong connections. I mean, Tom being one, the connections I had with Brother Chavez, um, the people that I'm connected with in the organization that we created last year, the CARA, Concerned Alumni. Um, those are people we had pre-existing connections because we maintained them over the years. All very important things for when you move forward. So Lucy, when you go down back south, you're going to have to make sure you have your Zoom app in place, okay? You can stay connected.
Okay, I'll do that.
We also got to read that letter that uh, you co-wrote with Kara. That was just super impactful. Like we were the only group that got to know you, so it was really cool to read that and know like where you were coming from, but also like how so many people like are also against things like that are happening. We read it also with like what's going on right now. We had that context with like the fizz stuff that was happening on campus. So that was really cool just to see your name and to know like, oh, like we know her and we could talk a little bit more about like what Kara was and all of that.
Yeah, no, I mean, Kara took a life of its own. Um, yeah, I put myself forward. Yeah, I can draft something. Get your feedback, folks. Make sure that we connect up with African American students, and boom! In one day, we had 50 people joining. That letter was put together over the course of 2 days, and because, like I say, we came out of St. Mary's with those values. The underdog. I think I like that word now. The underdog values of caring for others and doing for others. And we were not going to stay silent on something that was so disgusting. It was egregious. It wasn't just a simple thing. And yeah, but at the same time, it was an opportunity to educate, to inform the people that were in the administration, to say, hey, one, we're here. we're from the early days. We've seen where you've been, we've seen where you've gone, and we see where we don't want this college to go. And we put ourselves forward. We did meet with members of the administration, offered our support. One of the bigger things that we're doing right now is trying to make sure that a founder of St. Mary's of African background, African American, that she is recognized. And I didn't know about her until a reunion that happened like 6-7 years ago. And it's like, whoa, why did we not know about this? So that's one of the things that we're working on. One of the things coming up is making sure that Brother Chavez's plaque is put into place. And we want to be available for when and if things happen. And we also want to recruit people that are younger than us that want to be a part of CARA, because we're old. We're not going to be able to hang in forever. And we really do want people to come to CARA, be available and supportive of it at least. It's not like, you have to sign up or this or that, but if people want to stay informed, they just have to provide their emails to us, and we'll add it to the emails and try to keep people informed. So it's kind of cool. Like I said, it took a life of its own. It's like all of a sudden now these key individuals step forward. Herman Brown. There was just some really cool people that stepped forward and made it happen. Not just me. So that's kind of fun. You guys read the letter. That's cool.
Tom Brown also came in on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to meet with him and talk about that community between the students of color. He talked a lot about that and the unity on campus, and how like he hopes that that's still happening, and also the dedication that happened this weekend. There was a black baseball coach I had never heard of, but he was a really big deal, and they retired his jersey. They were going to retire his jersey last weekend, so he kind of told us about that and how that was something that the alumni have been fighting for. Also, I think it's Mary Pleasant.
Yes.
I think Mushir had talked to us about that. So there's like a lot of cool things. It was it's so cool to see like that you guys still have that community.
Yeah, and it's wonderful. It feels wonderful that people still care, and that we have these foundations. I mean, a lot of them might not be possible at other institutions just because they don't necessarily have the LaSallian values as a part of their core values. The public schools and this and that. It's a much different battle, but every day there's a quote from Dolores Huerta. And she says every situation is an opportunity for educating, and it's true, And like I say, it doesn't always have to be. It's like, oh, let's burn it down, this or that. No, it's about helping people to understand other and put yourselves in other people's shoes, so to speak, and then try to change them if you don't like the shoes they're wearing. I guess there's also this whole thing about the struggle between good and evil. So some of this stuff to me resonates from that kind of a context. And what would Jesus do? Jesus was a pacifist. I'm sorry. They were trying to get him to be involved in the anti-Roman stuff, and it's like he refused. And this life meant something and continues to mean something.
Thank you.
And so I had my little notes. I needed to learn to not always be antagonistic. So that's one of the things I learned. There's different ways to teach, definitely.
Just like reflecting, because obviously we always ask about your time at St. Mary's. Just reflecting on it, like, is there anything you're particularly proud of? And like, obviously, are you proud of it overall? And are there any regrets? Like, do you wish you involved yourself in other stuff, or yeah, just anything overall?
There's always regrets of some level, right? Well, the thing I don't have a regret from is having been able to graduate, getting through. I don't want to say it was really rough, because there was a lot of supportive things. I mean, I didn't have to be a part of the antagonism that happened right before I came to what Herman Brown and those guys had to go through, right? But they had to go through that in order to make happen me, make happen the high potential program. It's like sometimes you have to fight hard to make things happen. And so as far as regrets, I feel very good overall about my experiences at St. Mary's. I think I needed to learn eventually how better to reach out to others that were not like me. And so to the extent that I have regret, I feel that in my profession, in my personal life, I was able to learn how to do that more. So, but overall, yeah, it was good.
So I have a question in regards to, so you mentioned how we brought up, well, Bella brought up about how Carlos, like his father told him like to stay out of like the radical and like the political issues and like protesting and things and such, and just focus on getting the degree, right? So, do you have any advice for students that kind of face a similar situation with their parents, like just telling them to just focus on school and not really pave a way for more just institutions and just advocating for a better future for the oppressed and just like a positive change overall.
And a grandparent, and I understand from the perspective of a parent that you want your child to not get lost and end up not being able to finish what you're there to finish, which is to get that degree. And why is it that we care so much about it is because of the doors that are opened for you. And it's also because when you go through the educational schemes, you come out able to think, able to analyze, able to advocate, make things happen. And so it's, I mean, when a parent thinks that you got to ask, okay, well, why is a parent saying this or that, right? Now, in my time frame, the student activism was at an all-time high, and it had gotten violent. There was a National Guard that killed students at Kent State University who were out protesting some, I think it was anti-war, anti-Vietnam War. There was a newspaper guy, Latino, who was killed in Los Angeles in student walkouts. There was, let me think, I'm trying to think of some of the things that happened. So protesting has certain risks, and as a parent, you're going to worry about it, right? You have to teach your children if you're going to be out there, you better be ready to run, because yeah, it's when we had something at Hastings, which is where the law school I went to. We had to walk out because that was when there was a United States Supreme Court case called the Bakke decision that was attacking affirmative action programs. The Supreme Court ended up upholding the programs at the end, but there was a lot of student activism among students. And I remember when we were doing something, FBI people were up on the buildings, and that's kind of intimidating. It's kind of scary. But the bottom line is we were able to express ourselves, and that's important. I think that like I say, yes, parents are going to be putting out there so that we can remain focused on what's important, and that's okay. At the same time, you have to evaluate, okay, what am I going to do in in my experience? What are people doing now? It's amazing to see the number of people out in the streets right now protesting what has happened under this president. The kinds of dictatorial types of autocratic types of actions that are being taken. And it's very uplifting to me to see that across class status, across race and color, people are protesting. And it is a right that we have. Um, and but it also you it's about balancing, also making sure that you don't lose track of the other thing that you're trying to do that will give you more tools and ability in your life, and that is finishing your education. There were a lot of people that didn't finish, and it impacts how much you can do in your personal and professional life. So, did I get it? Yeah, so I do believe in protesting, just in case there's any question about it. I am supportive of all that's going on right now. Objecting to this autocratic president that's the most narcissistic individual I've ever seen in my existence. And the perpetuation of war in the Middle East. It's like, I'm sorry, there was a school hit by our bombs. There was children that died. Tell me those parents are not going to be forever angry at the United States. You know? So those are all the whole thing of good and evil kind of thing. That was evil. If you're shooting rockets and not caring where they're going and they end up in a school, I don't know. So yeah.
One of the things you mentioned at the beginning was how like you were uninformed about a lot of things that had happened. I think a lot of us are uninformed about what's happening currently, and I guess like what would you say to students about like what's happening and like why they should get informed?
Well, first of all, you can't always rely on your academic studies to tell you what's happening. You have preset materials, pre-existing materials that were not necessarily written in light of what's been happening. So it's what I say to that is don't be afraid of finding out the truth. Do your research. If you see a headline on Facebook and it's like, oh, that sounds real fishy, what do? I go outside of Facebook and I do my own research, and I do it by looking at different sources, and not just one source. People that only watch Fox News are when I watch Fox News, it's interesting to see how the very same piece of information is presented versus it's crazy. But it's important to be able to look at the different sources on the information, do your own research so that you can come to a conclusion as to trying to find where the line on truth is. It's not always black and white. That's the thing. So one is, yeah, you got to follow the news. You got to look at the different headlines. You got to take a look at them independently. Another thing you can do is take advantage of your January term to do things that will inform you and educate you about things like that. Like I did. I did it on women's reproductive issues. That's how I used that January term. And so much of what we do is self-taught. So picking the courses, you have the ability to pick certain courses, right? And so take a look at those courses and make sure you do some that can help you to become not just thinkers, but researchers, so that you can come and get informed. So yes, it is important to be informed. What's happening right now in this country is going through some serious challenges to the foundations of our country's government, and what it's doing to people is serious. So it's important to be informed, and if you can't figure it out just with what you're doing, then create your own forums. Have people come in, do presentations like Tom, have Tom come in. And it doesn't have to be in the context of a classroom. It can just be in the context of doing a presentation of, well, what does X, Y, or Z mean? And so I still do the same thing. There's something being put on. I mentioned the ACLU, I think. Oh, no, the National Immigrant Legal Organization. It does advocacy on immigration issues right now, and they're doing a forum on the 29th, and you can join it online. I'm going to do that just to see what's happening in that context. So it's self-education is what it comes down to, and that's self-research, doing your research and not necessarily taking everything at face value, but digging a little bit deeper, and then keeping an open mind so that you can also see, where there are legitimate concerns and legitimate issues. So yeah, there's an interesting motion in the country right now. One of the reasons Trump has been able to do some of the things he's doing is because Congress, let's say, what is it, the Senate? I can't remember. The Senate or the House is dominated by Republicans. And so when you have that situation and there isn't a willingness to work in collaboration, then things are brought to a standstill. And so part of that fact is giving him more power because Democrats don't have enough numbers to counter it. So one of the things happening in the country is people are turning from Republican to Democrat. There was one in New Jersey that just happened the last couple of days. There are interesting people running for governors. In Texas, you have Gina Hinojosa, who I actually happen to have known her when she was 5 years old in DC. And she's countering this guy, this governor who's been there for, God, a whole bunch of years, Abbott. And part of it is because of the way the lines are drawn in the redistricting and how many are Democrat, how many are Republican. And Trump asked Texas to change those lines so there was more Republicans. And that's where California, if you guys followed it, we did our own proposition to change our lines to more Democrats to counter what was happening in Texas. And the same thing's happening in other states. So that's another motion that's happening in the country. It's like, so one motion is the massive objections that you see in the protests, the motions in the electoral process. The midterms are going to tell us a lot of where the country's at. So yeah, stay informed. Don't give up. That's if there's advice to future students is don't allow things to overwhelm you. Yes, we cannot fix everything, but by at least being informed, we can give guidance to those around us and impact those around us, and take every opportunity to impact our microcosm and where we're at. And that's okay. There are others who are able to go much further and do a whole bunch. My iconic hero is Dolores Huerta. I mean, she's 96, I think. Now she worked with she was the co-founder of the United Farm Workers. She worked with Cesar Chavez. And of course, all these issues just came up about Cesar. But she is still moving forward, and still I've heard her speak in the last couple of years, and she's still amazing. And so some people are going to get out there and do a whole bunch more, and that's okay. But all of us can have an impact in our own setting. So.
Thank you. Lucy or Felix, do you guys have anything else?
I just have one more question. You kind of just answered it, but like I want to know if you have any other advice for like students who want to advocate for like say the underdog or justice, but like at the moment they feel like they don't have enough power or like enough influence, like what advice would you give to those students?
Well, first of all, is don't be overwhelmed. Acknowledge that there is certain motions in place, and they're always going to be happening. And I've seen it in my lifetime. The pendulum is always swinging, and sometimes it swings really high. Like I feel like we're in that kind of a swing right now. But don't allow yourself to be overwhelmed, and don't allow yourself to give up and just do nothing. And it's okay if you're not doing the highest level of response, but if at least in your own values, you continue living in your life in a way that fits, and you acknowledge to yourself what reality is and what you can or cannot do. That's okay. It's okay. It's also okay to do what you think you can do. Some people do it in different ways. Some people write books. Some people write articles. I see a lot more people writing on Facebook, Instagram. You see all these different. I just recently discovered Facebook Reels. Oh, they're so much fun. But those are all reaching out to people. Those are all reaching out to people, and I don't know, Lucy, you have this thing where you happen to be in this country in this very tumultuous time. I admire that you're an example of someone who's open to at least finding out about these different dynamics, but take these dynamics as you're learning here and determine how they apply in wherever it is you end up making your life, whether it's here or back from where you're from. That's true with the rest of us, right? It's like you may be going back to the Bay Area, you may be going back to East LA or something like that. And in those settings, there are things that are possible, and it just doesn't have to always be on TV or this or that. I feel like I did a lot of it in the context of the work the jobs that I did. I mentioned that I was in DC at one point, and it's because I got a fellowship to work with legal aid. So I was actually working with low-income individuals. One of the groups that I ended up representing was a whole group of building tenants. The building was being modified to condos, so they were getting all evicted. So that was great. I really had a good time. I think ultimately they each got like $10,000 to move, and that helped them. And a lot of them were Dominican persons, people of Dominican heritage and Puerto Rican. So the DC experience was interesting, aside from getting a husband out of it. And then after that, I came back and I continued working with some legal aid programs, but ultimately ended up doing some immigration work for Catholic charity immigration programs. Did that a little bit, and then from there worked in the private practice, representing people mainly out of Oakland. It was an Oakland practice, and the people that were my clients were poor African American people who had been in accidents, car accidents, things like that, that made the difference sometimes between paying the rent or not. With the money that we got him. See, all of that made a difference. And then after that, I did go with the state, and I was a discrimination enforcement attorney. I enforced California laws for people who were complaining about it was race, sex, elder discrimination, and one was even of a student in Berkeley who was being harassed by her professor. That case established some new law, so I was kind of proud of that one. And then after that, I went to social services, and in social services, again, it was about people who were in facilities for the elderly, children who were in foster care and their rights. It was about, I mentioned before that I dealt with specifically Native American children that were being pulled into the foster care program. And so I ended up interacting a lot with Native American tribes. All of that professionally was consistent with the values. And in that process, raising my family And I think the values I passed them on, both my husband and I passed them on to our children. One is a school principal in West Sacramento. Another's a teacher in San Jose, a fourth, fifth grade teacher. Then my youngest is a lawyer in San Diego. She works with legal aid down there, working on housing discrimination. So those values, see how you impact. Sometimes we question our ability to impact others. And just in my own family, I feel that we've been successful in creating some really wonderful children, and they're continuing that. So when we go back to our parents who don't want us involved with stuff, well, that's okay. You can educate them about things going on. It's like, no, this is not okay. This is why, and the ability to say it. So again, I forgot the question.
That's all right. You actually answered it perfectly.
I never do anything perfectly. I love you guys. I've been very honored to be able to chat with you about all this stuff. It's cool. It feels really good. And I hope some of the stuff that I've shared with you helps with as you progress, because you still have some time left to finish up school, right? And any of you know what you're going to do after school? Not yet?
I'm graduating. Yeah, I'm gonna work at AAA as a financial analyst. But I have like a month off until I start work. So hopefully some fun stuff in between. But I'm gonna be working in getting them kind of like more ready for environmental policies that are gonna come down on corporations. That's like my team. So it's super exciting to like get to learn all of that, research things that are new. And it's not like just a numbers finance job, which is super cool. Like I actually get to like learn on the job about those new laws, and how to report on our emissions, all of that. So I'm really excited.
That's exciting. And I know. How about you, Felix? Do you have a sense of what your tendencies are going towards?
Well, I'm really interested in like the sports medicine field, but I'm 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 like halfway through college, so I don't know, time will tell. But at the moment I'm into the sports medicine field.
Some athletes that needed definitely some of that. It's my children. And Lucy, I know you're going to be playing basketball next season, right?
Yeah, I'll play next season. Yeah, well, next season will be my first season, so then I got 4 more years, which will be cool.
That should be exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my approach in my studies was always to try to have a, a trajectory of where I wanted to get to. I understand that sometimes it's hard to know professionally, what you want to do. Not every, you're trying to figure it out, right? So as far as choosing the courses that you take, choose courses that uh, open up the doors for you, regardless of where you go. And obviously, you want some that are related to sports medicine. And the So then, if you're going to be doing that kind of stuff, it's probably, well, the medical field, but you also have to be able to be analytical about, okay, well, what does this person need? What were they going to, you see what I'm saying? So there's certain courses that you want to take that help you to have the skills that will be applicable. But if you don't end up there, you can still use, right? So that's where courses that are good that help you to do the reading and the writing and getting the subject matter that would be related. And then the other thing to do is, I think I may have talked to you guys about this, about taking advantage of January term to put you in places where put you in that situation. So I don't know if there's some kind of sports medicine type of course that you could develop and then maybe get hands-on experience with it and help you to understand if this is really what works for me. Yeah. And it'll be good to do it. And so, so Alexis, that sounds really overwhelming what you're talking about. It's like, I couldn't do it. But find there's two different ways to approach this. One is, what do you want to do? The other is, what are you good at? Are you a good writer? Are you a good advocate? Are you a good speaker? Are you a good communicator with people? You see what I'm saying? And then there's that. What are you good at? And then if you know your passion, then follow that passion and apply all of that to it. So, anyway. I know I was not good at math. I did not do that. I did 1 year business administration at St. Mary's, and I did what I told you guys not to do. I gave up. I was not good at math.
Thank you so much for speaking with us. Like, we have so much to like talk about in class after we speak with you. It's just super cool to be able to share that like information with our class and hopefully with the wider St. Mary's community soon. But yeah, also like I know like the Carlos thing was one thing that came up, but anything that's in the summary, that's not what's going to be shared. But if anything comes up that you're like, oh, I don't want that, please let us know. And we'll definitely take that out. We have like a transcript. This like note taker is tracking like everything we say, and then we can take anything out. So no worries on any of that.
Yeah, I just thought it was ironic, but I think he was a great choice. Definitely a great choice. He influenced a lot of all of this stuff too, because he already had that experience from before as a senior. But you also have Miguel. Miguel is also a really great person. Over the years, I referred to him as the Godfather because he kept us all in touch, letting us know when something was happening at St. Mary's that was fun, with Brother Chavez especially, and events that were happening at the college. So another great choice. I can't remember the other folks. Terry. Terry Ibarra, right? Now, she was one of the women that I looked up to when I came because she was older than myself. And I actually intended to connect with her through this process. I've just had forgotten there's so much going on in my personal life over here. But yeah, no, those are all exciting individuals that you guys were able to recruit and give you a broader view of things and how things can be and what you can be. So I'm going to look you up, all of you. I'm going to find you on Facebook or something. Yeah, you guys are great. Thank you so very much for making me a part of this. It's almost like, oh, I wanted to write a memoir and now I don't have to. Your summaries I was like, oh, did I say that? It's been a very enjoyable experience. People love to talk about themselves, right?
Love it. So thank you so much. Yeah, I don't think we have any other questions, so we'll give you back your evening. But if anything else comes up, we'll text or email with you. Also, if you have any other photos, that would be amazing.
Well, I was wondering about that because, I mean, I'm not too sure how clear I was about my childhood stuff.
Yeah.
My family was very involved in cultural activities. I told you about the quinceañera, but that was just one of the things. I mean, we were a part of, I mean, I didn't see a parade until my teen years because I was always in the parades. And we did dances and cultural fiestas, and my across the street was a theater, so movie stars would come over to my parents' business. I have pictures of my parents with like Vicente Fernandez. Y volver, volver, volver. If you go to Mexican parties, Lucy, you'll hear that song, okay? And Antonio Aguilar, another famous. Yeah. So there's all of that. I have a very strong cultural experience. That's what I came with to St. Mary's, a strong pride in the cultural experience of my community. And so yeah. Mm. What do you want as far as pictures?
If you have any pictures of, I know you mentioned the friend that you ended up going to high school with. Any pictures with her would be amazing. Can you guys think of anything else? I'm still thinking. There were a couple I was thinking of.
I think one of the ones we all wanted was like maybe a student ID, if you still had your hands on that, or like student yearbook, something like that.
I do have my yearbook.
Yeah.
It's so Mary Mullen. Yes, she was very special. Um, and well, yearbook pictures. I have my yearbooks right there, and there's some funny pics in there. Um,
Well, yeah, that would be awesome. I'm trying to think other photos.
Photos with your family, like your kids, also your parents, anything like that. Um, yeah, that would be cool to share. Like you before St. Mary's, you after. Um, yeah, I know we talk about your kids, your grandkids, anything like that that you would be willing to share. Um,
Yeah, there's so much.
yeah,
Yeah, it's interesting. When you get into the life histories and why we are the way we are. Like with me, it was that grandmother that was a Pancho Villa follower, you know, and the brothers and stuff, fighters for generations, fighters. Um, okay, well, I'll try to figure it out. I mean, it's like there's a lot of cool pictures that let me see. Did I show you my horse picture? Maybe not.
I don't think so.
It's one of those ones I have to brighten up, but see if you can see it. You can see me on the horse in a parade.
Oh my
And
God.
then there's the me. I know it's very dim, but at one point I was the queen of the Mexican charros, and I have some cool pictures of then. I was like, oh, I was cute. I thought I was ugly. It's like, hey, we looked good. But yeah. But okay, I'll try to come up with some interesting things that yeah. I had shared with you that my uncle passed away, and we had his funeral last week, but going through setting up his photos and stuff of his life, he was a boxer, an early boxer. And so those pictures of him, it's like, oh, he looks so good. So appreciate your youth, okay? If there's any advice I can give to you guys, appreciate your youth. It's really a great time, and take advantage of everything available to you. Okay, I'll try to find some interesting pictures.
Thank you so much. Have a
What
good
are you
evening.
gonna do with them?
We're gonna put them like side by side, some of the quotes we're gonna pull. So we don't have like a layout yet, but when we do, we'll share it with you. But it will be like kind of side by side with your story. So it'd just be cool to show that.
Okay. I'm nervous. I've never talked so much about myself with anybody. This has really been an interesting experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Do good. And this might be our last time then, right?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, we also wanted to invite you. I can get you the specific date. There's going to be like an end of year celebration, and all the engaged learning partners will be there, hopefully, if they can join. And we'll all be there.
Okay, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
If I'm able to, I will join you.
Yeah, for sure. I'll send you the date and the time, but that would be awesome to get to meet you in person.
Sounds wonderful. Okay.
So much.
Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Appreciate your
Bye.
time, Liz.